Alright, so today we are going to do a atmospheric mining ship. I always set up my bar before I even start with anything I think I'm going to be using. If you select this blocks by hitting 2, it's going to go to a large grid, but we're going to do a small grid. And we can rotate this. The delete key. You always want to use landing gear to hold it in place, or else it won't play well. I build all my ships based on the fact that I am going to use a connector. There's no reason that shouldn't work. That's how I always build it. Okay. Now in survival mode, when you use your jetpack, you're going to run out of fuel, so you're going to have to consider resources for that. For a small atmospheric ship, I always use a medium cargo container. We want to rotate this. Using your insert key, you can get that orientation right. Because the main thing with this is we need this connector on the bottom. I have no idea what this connector is. Okay, so this is how I always build these. I have no idea why it's not working. But anyway, we can fix that in a minute. We need access to this to connect it to the cockpit. Hit G, it brings up all your blocks. Get rid of that. Drop in our cockpit. Your mouse wheel can change these connectors to that. I don't know why half these blocks have 1 and half of them have 2. It's a little odd, but anyway. These small ones ore can flow through it, but things like plates and steel rods won't. They will only go through these big ones. But this is going to be a mining ship, so these little connectors are all going to be just fine. And then we're going to put one in the front, because that's where our drill is going to hang out. You have to watch the drill orientation. If you say hit insert and go up like that, it won't connect to this block. And I put these steel blocks on there because it wants to center, and then you won't bottom out it. And 0 is just your hands if you don't want to see a block for a second. Then we can go up here and check. Since these vent in the side, see the connectors here on the side? Just connect them in the front. I do this, it makes a nice compact drill ship. You can extend these out and make a bigger 4 drill ship, but it's hard to see, hard to fly, uses more resources. This is a good starting drill ship. You can see all around. And then we're just going to want a spotlight mounted here. Now, if you start on minimum base with, say, the little pod where the hard mode survival, you're not going to have this big base. So what you're going to want to do is build some wind generators, solar panels, whatever you like, and then you're going to make connectors and have a battery. So that's the hard mode survival. You're going to do batteries, wind generators, I'm assuming. So this will use a battery and a connector. We'll still get that connector on there in just a second. These are the basic components of the ship, and then we need our engines. Hit G again. Oh, we need our gyroscope real quick. Used to be a big deal where gyroscopes always had to be in the center. I don't think that's a thing anymore. You want at least one, preferably two. I'll go ahead and throw two on here. Okay. Go back in here. Atmospheric engines. To try to make this simple as a minimum ship, we're going to use two of the large mounted here in the back. I tend to find if I only use two of these, which you can get away with, sometimes as you turn the ship tilts and you can dump on your side, which will be, if you've got a load in this little ship, you're going to ground it and probably crash. So I use two in each direction. It is a lot more resources. And then we need our front-facing ones. So I'm going to go here and mount them. You have to be careful so they don't blow on these drills. And the other thing is, you need four facing forward, because you're going to find yourself facing downward, and if you don't have enough thrust, you're just going to ground out your little miner. So that gives me four forward facing, and we really only need two. So there. That is for me, a pretty standard, very minimum battery operated ship to build in survival. So if we get rid of this, and you can just fly up, get out. Let's see if we can get that connector over there now. There. And there's our connector. I try to do without armor and anything I don't need. The next thing I would say is, depending on what your resources are, you'll need an ore detector, and I would go ahead and if you've got that far to an antenna. Oh, yeah. So, an ore detector. And an antenna. The ore detector sees minerals, and the antenna broadcasts that to you if you're not in the ship. If you're in the ship, you still see it, doesn't matter. But I go ahead and throw that on there. So this ship, if we fly it around for a second, not real fast going forward, but it stops well. It's kind of what you want. If you put 8 engines in the back and 2 in the front, you'll find yourself colliding into things pretty quickly. So this isn't the best for mining straight down, it's better for hills, but this thing is cheap. So if we find somewhere we want to mine, hit G, go to block tools, drag this down here. I set these up with this connector. All my ships have connectors to charge them, so I set this here to off and on, and I set this one to switch. And that way when I come to the station to charge the battery, you just gotta look for a connector. Like this one. Kinda get close. Hit V. Hold Alt to swing yourself to the side a little. And then the dock. So this lets us connect, and we're sitting but we can't share inventory. Hit 8 and that locks us in place. Now if you hit I, you can see the inventory of the entire base, and you can transfer all your drilled materials. So I can switch this to look at my ship. Over here, if I type in REF, I'll see my refineries, and I can manage what I've drilled, put in my refineries. When you're done, you hit 9, that turns off your docking collar, and you just turn it back on. So we'll go over here, hit 1, and now if you left click, you will drill and pick up resources. If I don't want this dirt, I hit right click and it drills a bigger spot, but you don't get the resources. In this particular spot we happen to have our ore right here, so we'll go ahead and left click and we'll start picking up some ore. See outside your ship, use Alt to adjust your angle a little bit, and that way you can be careful backing out. Once you get in the open, you can go straight up because you got those 2 large thrusters, and then we just go back to base. Be careful once the ship is loaded, it doesn't fly fantastic. But it is a cheap, easy to build ship, which is kind of what you're after for the first. Your first mining rig is going to be like the absolute minimum you can get, because you're going to have to cut all those resources by hand in survival. And then there we go, mining completed.